Every 15 years, God sends millions of monsters to wipe out parts of humanity. People once tried to fight back, but the creatures were too strong. So now, survival means hiding. The story opens with memories of the first Judgment Day, when the monsters first rose from deep underground mines, killing millions and wiping cities off the map. Humanity fought a long, bloody war and finally destroyed the creatures. In the aftermath, massive gates were built over the old mine sites to protect people from another invasion. 15 years later, the world has managed to rebuild. One survivor, Laura, now works as a school teacher. She has a persistent admirer, Milton, who keeps asking her out even though she always turns him down. Deep down, Laura still holds resentment toward her ex-husband, Dave. During the first Judgment Day, he wasn't with her. She was pregnant and forced to survive alone. Now they share a teenage son, Tyler, who's 15. Tyler spends most of his time skating with his friends and his girlfriend, Maddie, or playing computer games at home. He's stuck in the middle of his parents' strained relationship, caught between their unresolved tension. But signs of danger start to reappear. A solar eclipse is coming, a sign that another Judgment Day might be near. Scientists detect strange earthquakes, and the dome guards begin emergency checks on the protective gates. News reports mention something even more alarming. Fish are dying in huge numbers all over the world, just like before the first attack. Everything seems to be happening again. Tyler is spending the weekend with his dad when Dave's old friend Ted calls him in a panic. Ted insists that another Judgment Day will happen tomorrow and begs Dave to get his family to his underground shelter before the eclipse. Meanwhile, under the protective dome, a new monster quietly crawls up a stairwell, unnoticed. Laura, watching the news, calls Dave in fear. She demands that he bring Tyler back immediately. Milton has already reserved a place for them in a safe shelter, and she's certain that's the only way to survive. Dave tells her to calm down, saying Tyler is fine with him. But while Dave is on the phone, Tyler receives a message, reads it, and sneaks out of the house. Laura panics when she learns Tyler isn't with Dave anymore. Milton urges her to hurry because the shelter is filling up fast, but Laura refuses to leave without her son. Milton tracks Tyler's phone and locates him at the skate park. There, Tyler's with Maddie, who's terrified because her parents have already left town. Crying, she begs him not to go. Tyler promises Maddie that he will never abandon her like his father once did. But suddenly, a loud cry pierces the sky. Flocks of birds fly in one direction, filling the air with chaos. People in the park start panicking and running away. Everyone is trying to escape the city. Dave drives toward the park to find his son, but soon gets stuck in a massive traffic jam. Without wasting time, he abandons his car and runs through the crowd, shouting Tyler's name. Meanwhile, under the protective dome, a worker is checking the instruments. There's a faint rustle behind him, followed by strange sounds. Before he can react, a monster bursts out and tears him apart. Soldiers nearby open fire, but their bullets do nothing. The creature is unstoppable. At the skate park, Tyler and Maddie watch the chaos unfold in horror. Dave finally arrives, and Tyler hurriedly explains that Maddie has nowhere else to go. Laura soon arrives with Milton, and they rush everyone into the car to reach the shelter Milton reserved. Only a little more than an hour remains before the eclipse begins. The city is falling apart. Sirens blaring, people screaming, traffic at a standstill. They finally reach the shelter, but it's surrounded by soldiers. Only women and children are allowed inside. Dave tells Tyler to stay strong and protect his mother. He sends Laura, Tyler, and Maddie inside while he and Milton remain outside in the crowd. But moments later, Tyler runs back out, yelling that he won't leave his father. Laura and Maddie chase after him, terrified. A loud announcement blares through the speakers. The shelter is now full. No more people can enter. With no other option, they rush back to the car. Dave suggests heading to Ted's hideout in the desert, but Milton argues that the school nearby is safer and has a basement. They drive toward it, but soon hit another roadblock. Cars abandoned everywhere. Suddenly, the ground starts shaking. The solar disk darkens. The eclipse has begun. From beneath the dome, waves of monsters emerge, crawling, flying, and smashing everything in their path. Dave insists they leave the city immediately. Staying means certain death. He tries to take the wheel, but Milton refuses, claiming it's his car, and he knows the way. They argue fiercely until, out of nowhere, a flying creature swoops down and grabs Milton, lifting him into the sky as Laura screams in horror. Dave pulls her into the car and drives as fast as he can, escaping the nightmare around them. He tells the children everything will be okay. They just need to keep moving. But soon, the fuel gauge drops to empty. Dave stops to find another car. Inside one of the nearby vehicles, an old man hides in the back seat, trembling. Outside, a huge, bloody monster shaped like a skeletal bull prowls nearby. It stops, sniffs the air, then starts eating a human body lying on the ground, completely unaware of the terrified people hiding just a few feet away. Dave slowly rolls the car back toward Laura and the kids, careful not to make any noise. Now, both cars are parked side by side, but they need to move into the new one without alerting the creature nearby. Suddenly, the monstrous bull notices them. Before anyone can react, the old man quietly steps out of his car, clutching a jar of salt. He throws the salt at the bull, and for a brief moment, The creature freezes. Taking advantage of the distraction, Laura and the kids rush into Dave's car. The bull then charges at the old man and tears him apart in seconds. Dave slams his foot on the gas and speeds away as fast as he can. All around, monsters are flooding into the city from every direction. Dave drives along a deserted mountain road, finally spotting Ted's hideout in the distance. It looks solid and well built, like a concrete bunker. Security cameras are mounted on the roof, but no one responds when they knock. The heavy doors remain shut. Inside, Ted sits at a monitor, but a gun is pressed against his neck. Outside, through the camera feeds, they see monsters charging up the mountain, heading straight for the bunker. Dave grabs a tire iron, ready to protect his family. Just as the creatures reach them, the bunker doors swing open. They all rush inside and slam the door behind them. Dave hugs Ted in relief. Inside the bunker are Ted's wife, Stella, and a soldier sitting quietly in the corner. Ted introduces him as Corporal Garrett Jensen. On the monitors, the monsters are seen clawing and slamming against the bunker's door. The group is tense. Garrett sits calmly, almost detached. Maddie nervously asks how the monsters can find them. Can they see through the walls? Garrett smirks and says they respond to heat and light, but he believes they can also sense the soul. They're born from the devil, he adds, and that means from God too. They torture the body but feed on the soul. Laura asks, "Are you religious, Corporal?" Garrett replies, "Today I am." He goes on to tell them that during the first Judgment Day, he worked at a refinery. When the monsters invaded, he jumped into a pit of salty mud where they wouldn't go. He stayed hidden there, listening as the monsters killed 150 of his co-workers and friends. As Garrett speaks, Ted quietly signals Dave with his eyes to grab a knife from the table. Dave understands and slowly reaches for it. Garrett continues his grim story. "That's why it's called Judgment Day," he says, "because on this day, the devil walks the earth." Just then, a huge centipede creature crawls through a small gap in the mesh-covered window. Garrett offers to take the first watch. Ted agrees but gives Dave a meaningful look again. Suddenly, Garrett pulls out his gun and orders Dave to drop the knife. He explains that he found this bunker by chance and that Stella let him in, even though Ted didn't trust him. "I survived last time," Garrett says coldly, "and I'll survive again, no matter what it takes." Tyler jumps forward, trying to grab Garrett's gun, but the soldier shoves him away roughly. Dave quickly steps in to calm things down. In that tense moment, the centipede-like creature bursts out of the wall and attacks Stella, wrapping itself around her neck. Ted grabs it and rips it off her, then throws salt on it. Dave grabs Garrett's gun and shoots it. More monsters start crawling out from different corners of the bunker, but the group manages to kill them one by one. They tie Garrett's hands and try to stop Stella's bleeding. Then, through the security cameras, Dave sees something terrifying. A massive bull-like creature approaching to help the smaller monsters. He realizes they won't survive if they stay. The bunker doors begin to shake under the bull's heavy blows. Dave says they have to escape before it breaks through, but Ted refuses, saying Stella is too weak to survive outside. Stella, struggling to breathe, insists that he go with the others. She tells them there's a hidden tunnel beneath the bunker that leads into the mountains. Garrett, still tied up, pleads with them to take him too. He claims he has a car with a full tank nearby and can drive them all to the main gate, the place where the monsters originally came from. He insists that once they reach it, they'll be safe because the creatures won't return there. No one fully trusts him, but Dave finally agrees. "Get us there," Dave says, "and we'll forget everything that happened." They gather weapons from Ted's storage, rifles, pistols, even grenades. The bull slams harder and harder against the doors as cracks appear in the concrete. At the last second, they escape through the underground tunnel. As they move through the tunnel, Stella's condition worsens. Dave and Laura start arguing again. She blames him for everything, saying they could have been safe in the official shelter. Suddenly, Tyler spots something on the road ahead, the dead body of a monster. Maddie approaches it slowly, but before anyone can stop her, long tentacles burst out from a hole in the ground and wrap around her legs, pulling her toward the pit. Maddie screams as Tyler and Dave rush to save her, cutting the tentacles and pulling her free. Seeing this, Garrett offers to help and begs them to untie him. Dave hesitates but finally cuts his ropes. Together, they continue climbing toward the top of the mountain. When they reach it, they see the entire city below, burning, destroyed, and crawling with monsters. They rush down to Garrett's car, but when he tries to start it, the engine fails. The group panics as monsters appear on the ridge above, charging straight toward them. Garrett desperately tries to restart the engine. Meanwhile, Stella looks at the advancing monsters, then at her husband's gun. She knows she won't survive much longer. Before Ted can stop her, she steps out of the car, clutching her weapon. Ted screams her name, begging her to come back, but Stella turns her back to them and walks toward the monsters. Gunshots echo as she faces them alone. Dave forces Ted into the car, and just as the creatures reach Stella, the engine roars to life. They speed away, leaving the chaos behind. On the road, they pick up a faint radio signal. The voice on the other end announces that most shelters have been destroyed, none of them held up against the monsters. Laura reaches over and places her hand gently on Dave's shoulder. He glances at her, then focuses back on the road. Finally, They reach the giant gate. The place is empty and eerily quiet, but the massive steel doors are wide open. Garrett says the real shelter is below, in the basement area. He and Dave go to restore power while the others look for a first aid kit. Ted has been wounded in the back. As Dave restores the electricity, Garrett explains that this gate was built after the first invasion. Engineers filled the underground tunnels with tons of salt to repel the creatures, but the wells were too deep to seal completely. They regroup, but before they can relax, they hear loud roars and see a blood-covered corpse nearby. The eclipse still has 2 hours left. Garrett suggests hiding in a nearby chemical storage facility. Its reinforced doors can't be broken through. Suddenly, a monster bursts out of the shadows and tackles Garrett. Dave helps him fight it off, and together they manage to kill it. But the noise draws more monsters toward them. Garrett runs through a nearby door and slams it shut behind him, locking Dave and the others out. Inside the room, Garrett pulls out a syringe and injects himself. Dave goes back to his family and tells Tyler to look after his mother while he's gone. He plans to pump salt water through the pipes to keep the monsters from getting inside. Laura gives him a quick kiss and tells him to be careful. Crawling through the ventilation system, Dave spots a huge monster devouring its prey. To flood the system, he must turn on the valve near it. Moving quietly, he opens the tap, and salt water begins to flow into large containers. Just as he starts to climb back, the monster senses him and charges. Dave fights back, throwing salt at the creature, which screams and crumbles into dust. Meanwhile, Laura, Tyler, and the others are being chased by more monsters. They try to hide, but the creatures quickly surround them. Tyler fires his gun to hold them off while Ted grabs an axe. Then Dave's voice comes through the loudspeakers, telling them to activate the fire alarm. The monsters close in fast. Ted turns to Tyler and says, "Protect the family, son," before rushing at the monsters with his axe. Several of the beasts attack him at once. Tyler keeps shooting, but his bullets run out. In a desperate move, he hits the fire alarm. Salt water sprays from every direction, showering the monsters. They scream in pain as their bodies melt into bloody dust. The attack stops, but Ted lies dead on the floor. As silence falls, the eclipse ends. The surviving monsters retreat through the gate, disappearing back underground. Laura and the kids step outside into a clearing, thinking it's finally over. But then Garrett appears, holding a gun. He shoots Tyler in the shoulder and says coldly, "This isn't our world anymore. He won't survive anyway. Even God's taking the day off." He raises his gun again, aiming to finish the job. Laura throws herself over her son to protect him. Suddenly, Dave rushes in and hits Garrett across the head with a fire extinguisher. Dave embraces Laura and Tyler. A massive monster bursts out from below, roaring. It lunges straight at Garrett and swallows him whole in one bite. The family runs to the medical room, where Dave mixes a salty chemical solution into a pressurized tank. The monster crashes through the wall, breaking the door down. Just as it charges, Dave hurls the canister at the beast. It explodes, covering the creature in the burning salt mixture. The monster screeches in agony before disintegrating into ashes. Laura collapses into Dave's arms, both in disbelief that they're still alive. They step outside together with the children. The world around them is in ruins, silent and empty, but the monsters are gone. Maybe this peace will only last for a while, but one thing is certain: life always finds a way to return, and light will always overcome the darkness. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching.